Okay, let's dive right into this. The architecture of internal validation, the psychology of seeking approval. Let's get started.
Why do you care so much about what people think? Seriously, we all do it, right? Think about it. How many times have you checked your phone after sending a kind of risky text, or just waited around to see if a post lands well? That's a heavy question. But welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely demystify the psychological roots of this validation-seeking behavior. Acknowledging this feeling? That's step one, and it's the central mystery we're going to solve together today. We'll figure out exactly why our brains are wired this way, and more importantly, how we can reprogram that wiring.
And this brilliantly illustrates why we do it. Receiving validation feels incredibly good because it confirms one deeply primal thing, that you're accepted. Seeking this out is a completely natural human urge. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's literally about survival in a tribe. Back in the day, if you weren't accepted by the group, well, you didn't survive, period. It provides us with this deeply comforting signal that we're safe, that we belong. So it's not inherently wrong to want this feeling. But relying on it too heavily, that's exactly where the structural integrity of our confidence begins to crack. Here is the hidden danger, though. Relying on validation equals losing control of your self-worth. This right here is the fundamental equation we need to rewrite. When you depend too much on external applause, you're effectively outsourcing your approval. You're actively handing over the keys to your own confidence to other people. Think about that. You're letting their reactions dictate your value, which means you forfeit all control.
So, where does this overwhelming need to outsource our self-worth actually come from? Well, it's not about vanity. It's definitely not an ego trip. It actually comes from one place: uncertainty. When we lack a solid foundation within ourselves, we start frantically searching for it in the environment around us.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how clear the psychology actually is. If you're not sure about your value, you look for others to confirm it. We are literally looking outward to solve an inward lack of clarity. When your own internal compass is spinning, you end up asking the crowd for directions to your own self-worth. It's a totally logical coping mechanism for that deep-seated uncertainty we just talked about. But man, it is a highly flawed strategy.
Because here's the fatal flaw. Inconsistent opinions lead directly to unstable confidence. Let's be real, people's opinions are wildly unpredictable. They change their minds, their moods fluctuate, their perspectives shift based on whether they've had their morning coffee or hit traffic on the way to work. If your value is anchored to their inconsistent opinions, then your self-esteem becomes nothing more than an uncontrollable roller coaster. You're going to be up one day and down the next, entirely based on external weather that you absolutely cannot control.
But listen, we aren't leaving you on that roller coaster. If external validation is unpredictable and out of your control, the only logical, sustainable solution is to build internal validation. Generating that validation from within is exactly how we take back control of our self-worth, and I'm going to give you the concrete ways to do exactly that.
So here's our roadmap to self-trust. Step 1, keep small promises. Step 2, stop oversharing. And step 3, drop the need for consensus. Let's move to the first step and see how this builds our foundation, step by step.
Step 1. Keep promises to yourself. Small ones. Look, building internal validation doesn't require massive, sweeping life changes overnight. It doesn't mean you have to suddenly become the loudest, most confident person in the room. It simply requires tiny, achievable daily commitments to yourself. We're talking about micro habits here. It's saying you're going to wake up at a certain time and actually doing it. It's committing to just a 5-minute walk and taking it.
So, the crucial point is the psychological magic behind that simple act. Keeping small promises builds internal trust. Every single time you follow through on a tiny commitment, you're gathering undeniable evidence that you are reliable. Psychologists call this building self-efficacy. You are basically proving your own worth to yourself. You're slowly replacing that deep-seated uncertainty we saw earlier with a rock-solid bedrock of internal trust. You literally become someone you can count on, completely independent of anyone else.
Now, I want you to examine your daily behavior with this next question. Are you oversharing just for approval? Really think about it. Why do you tell certain stories to your coworkers, or why do you post certain updates online? Are you sharing to genuinely connect, or are you just throwing a line out into the digital water, hoping to catch some validation to feed your self-worth? We get so caught up in these dopamine loops, just waiting for the little thumbs-up icons. But spoiler alert, those likes, they don't actually fill the void. Because the truth is, not everything needs to be validated. It is incredibly empowering to realize that you can hold parts of your life back. You don't have to broadcast every win, every thought, or every meal. By keeping things to yourself,
You start cultivating this fiercely private, internal confidence that exists entirely independent of external comments or applause. You learn to enjoy your life simply because you are living it, not because an audience is clapping for it.
Finally, the most important realization to internalize is this: you don't need everyone to agree with you to be valuable. It is absolutely vital to firmly disconnect your intrinsic human value from the impossible standard of universal consensus. Some people are going to misunderstand you. Some people will disagree with you. And honestly, that is perfectly fine. Their agreement is not a prerequisite for your worth.
So we've explored the primal roots of why we seek acceptance, the sheer danger of outsourcing our confidence to the inconsistent opinions of others, and we've laid out an actionable roadmap. Keep small promises, stop the oversharing cycle, and drop that need for consensus to build rock-solid internal trust. So I'll leave you with this one final, powerful question to reflect on. Are you ready to stop seeking approval and start owning your worth? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep focusing on those small promises to yourself, and I'll see you next time.